Welcome back to the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. The Lobos a winner over the Wisconsin Badgers, 59-50. A big win for New Mexico in the Legends Classic on day 2. Semifinal losers yesterday to Auburn. Third place contest winners over Wisconsin here today. 59-50 your final score. Check the back of every season ticket for a great deal at your local Arby's. Bring your coupon into any Arby's store. Take advantage of this incredible offer, exclusive to Lobos season ticket holders. Arby's, we have the meats. The Lobos had the goods today, Hunter. From start to finish, really, they never were behind seemingly the entire contest. Now, Wisconsin did have a lead, but their biggest lead was just 2. And the Lobos controlled the game throughout, essentially, leading by double digits in both halves, and then closing the game out at the foul line, 59-50.
They really did. They cleaned it up. I mean, essentially, on the offensive end and on the defensive end. Getting stops in the paint, keeping Wisconsin off the boards, taking care of the basketball. I mean, that was crucial for them. Just attention to detail. Except there were some moments, I thought, at the end, almost at the end of the game, where there was some lack of concentration, lack of focus, where they were a little lax. But other than that, I thought they played an excellent game. They played Wisconsin-style basketball and were able to beat them at their own game.
And I think that certainly in a different style of game, one thing that Coach Weir has to be extremely happy about and when we talked about it in the pregame, the 24 turnovers from yesterday,
right.
And, the highest total for a Lobo team in 15 years. Today, just 13.
Yes.
And, you look at the loss yesterday, 28 points off of those turnovers by Auburn. That was really the difference.
Yeah.
So, New Mexico, of the things that they needed to clean up most, that was at the top of the list, and they did it.
They did. I mean, there were glimpses of what teams have scouted them for. New Mexico is, they'll take it to the hole, out of control, step inside, take a charge, that kind of thing. Did it a couple of times, but for the most part, really took care of the basketball.
All right, let's pause briefly, 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to Lobo Basketball on the UNM Sports Radio Network.
This is New Mexico's #1 radio station, 94.5 FM and AM 770. News Radio KKOB, Albuquerque, a Cumulus station.
Lobos a winner, 59-50 over the Wisconsin Badgers in the third-place game in the Legends Classic in Brooklyn, New York. A big win for the Lobos, improves their record to 6-2, and they drop the Wisconsin Badgers to 4-3 on the campaign. We are courtside on Albertsons Radio Row inside the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Really hard to overstate the importance of this win, Hunter. The feeling that this road trip would be as difficult a stretch as the Lobos would have in their entire schedule, although in some ways that is understating the difficulty of the Mountain West Conference, and I think that we know how hard it is, especially when you go on the road.
Right.
But given the fact that the UTEP New Mexico State trip, with those two programs where they are right now and those two games being on the road, to get that split and then come here and play a team that was ranked 18th and a team that has votes in both the coaches and the AP poll, Auburn, Wisconsin. Get that split. You come through this stretch of 4 games 2-2, you feel pretty good, right?
Yeah, no question. The first 4 games at home, it was kind of like climbing stairs. Mm-hmm. You took those first 3 or 4 steps, and then, of course, these last 4 games, just a little more competitive, tougher competition, and no, you got to feel good. You come out of New York 2-2, or 1-1
here.
Yeah, 1-1,
and 2-2 for the full
for the whole trip. I mean, it's good. It's you're building on something, right? I think Coach may address that or talk about that here in the post game, but you hope you're building on something. And like you said, early in the season, this is a process, and the scheduling. Of course, you would have probably liked more rest for the Lobos in between the trip from Cruces to Brooklyn, but you didn't get it. But you got some great competition, great games, and hey, we'll close out the month of November with a pretty good record and some great competition. I thought they had a good November.
Could not agree more. 6-2 with this win. All right, it's time for a Toyota drive of the game. Toyota, let's go places. Zane whips it high right to Caldwell. 13 to shoot. JJ with a jab step. Now a crossover to JJ to the rim. Left hand scoop is good. Oh, Caldwell undressed him. 10 points for JJ. Lobos by 7, 52-45. You absolutely love when JJ Caldwell gets to the rim, don't you?
Oh, I do. I like him having the ball in his hands in the closing minutes. I really do. I mean, he's self-assured. He knows how to handle it. He's not going to turn it over. And then he can get to the rim, and he can get to the free throw line. So I like him with the ball in his hands in the closing minutes. He did it in Cruces. He did it here. And he's just such a little guy that get battles. I mean, I like watching him play.
Unafraid.
Unafraid.
Getting into the paint
Right.
and getting to the rim.
That's right.
And he showed it down the stretch. Knocked down those clutch free throws. That was a huge layup right there.
Yes.
And I love what you said there late. It looked for a moment like he lost the handle on the ball. And then it was Marcus Haynes. It was Curly Neal. It was a spin dribble with that basketball no more than a couple of inches off the court. The way that he curled around the Wisconsin defender against full court pressure,
yeah.
And got the ball over the timeline ahead of the 10-second call when the Lobos could not afford to turn it over at the end.
But, as much as I like watching them on the offensive end, I really enjoy watching them on the defensive end. If you're a fan and you haven't been to the pit to see this kid, J.J. Caldwell, play, just watch him on the defensive end. I mean, he's just fun to watch. He's got a knack for the ball. He's got quick hands, quick feet. Anyway, J.J. Caldwell.
J.J. Caldwell delivers the Toyota drive of the game. Toyota, let's go places. All right, let's take a peek at some of the totals. The Lobos for the game shoot 44%, 22 out of 50, 23% from the arc, 3 of 13, 12 of 15 at the line. They close out the game at the line. That's 80%. That's stellar. For the day, Wisconsin, 34% from the field, 34%, 18 out of 53. But the three-point line killed them. 2 out of 26, 7.7%. They were 12 of 16 at the foul line. Rebounding battle, 34-34, dead even. Badgers end up with 12 offensive boards, the Lobos with 8. The Lobos assisted 13 times on 22 field goal makes and turned it over 13 times. Wisconsin just 6 assists on 18 field goals. They struggled to score the ball. 14 turnovers for Wisconsin on the day. Points off of turnovers, Lobos 10-5. In the paint, Lobos dominant, 34-18. Second chance, 13-5 Lobos. 12-9 Lobos on the fast break. And 16-8 bench points for New Mexico. The Lobos led the game for almost 32 minutes. The Lobos dominate and close out Wisconsin 59-50. Wisconsin did a nice job of hanging around, Hunter. But in the end, New Mexico had the upper hand throughout.
Yeah, no question. I mean, I thought the difference was the defense. I mean, they were able to get stops, and maybe it was that Wisconsin Badgers were tired. They had no legs. They couldn't hit those long balls, those threes. But I thought New Mexico did a great job defending them.
And the Lobos, despite shooting only 3 out of 13 from three-point land themselves,
right,
were able to score the ball efficiently enough here today to get a very big win. It does feel like this 2019 edition of New Mexico is going to be less reliant upon the three over the course of an entire season than they had been the first 2 years under Coach Ware. And as we talked about during the break, part of that might be the graduate transfer guy who's in Oregon now, Anthony Mathis.
Anthony Mathis, yeah. No question. I mean, there are a couple guys that can shoot the three, but I think this year's team wants to take advantage of the size inside, not only of the bigs, but Jaquan Lyle as a big guard that can post up and get into the painted area and score a higher percentage shot.
Some of the individual numbers, the Lobos had 4 in double figures when it was all said and done. Jaquan Lyle with a team-high 14. The Lobos had 3 men with a dozen, Carlton Bragg, J.J. Caldwell, and Zane Martin. The leading rebounder for New Mexico was Lyle, 14 and 9. 14 points and 9 rebounds for Jaquan. We're joined courtside here on Albertsons Radio Row by Lobo head coach Paul Weir. And first off, Coach Weir, congratulations. What a big win for your team to get this split here in New York. Way to go.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
What was key? What do you think was the reason that the Lobos were able to sort of take control of this game and keep Wisconsin at arm's length most of the day?
Yeah, I mean, I think first off, let me say, as much as from a coaching perspective, you want to take credit for things, we have a very resilient group of guys. I think we saw that after the UTEP game, a really tough, hard loss to kind of swallow, bounce back, have a great game at New Mexico State. We had kind of 48 hours to lick our wounds for that one. This one we had about 20 hours to lick our wounds, and we told the guys that really since we've got to have it, and they did that. And that's not anything other than anything I can, take credit for or say we did. I think we've just got a good kind of competitive nature about our guys in general. They don't like to lose, and they kind of showed that, I thought, tonight, which is really good. I think obviously as painful as the Auburn game was, the only thing you can do from those things is learn and grow, and turnovers were a major, major problem for us. We watched turnovers right before the game. We watched turnovers this morning and really talked about getting good shots at the rim and not rushing and getting sped up into things. Watched Richmond doing the same kind of stuff and just taught them. And thankfully the guys heard that lesson. And I think a combination of us learning how to take care of the basketball and then B, just having a good fiber about us, I think is it's healthy, but I think those two coupled together were a good combination for us.
Coach, congratulations. The style of play that Wisconsin plays, was that the plan? Was that the strategy to go ahead and let's play their style of basketball?
Yeah, I mean, I think it served us well. I think Auburn, unfortunately, we were too fast and we were too sped up. And I think Wisconsin, fortunately, coupled with all the turnovers we had against Auburn of guys, like, look at this stuff.
Right.
And you start watching those turnovers, and you're 19, 20 years old, you're looking at yourself going, what are we doing? And thankfully I think we learned that, coupled with Wisconsin just gets back, plays defense. They're not going to give you much in transition anyways, and I think that helped settle us, a good combination of both of those things.
No question. You guys were settled in, and you could see you were dialed in,
yeah,
and you valued the basketball.
Very much so.
That was huge.
Very much so.
Key plays down the stretch again, too. Wisconsin never went away. They were always hanging around, and it looked like it might become a one-possession game there in the second half, but it never did happen.
Yeah. I mean, they're a great team. They're obviously a Big Ten Power 5 team. I mean, it's hard to just put a team like that away. They kept fighting. They're older. They're competitive. They kept battling, and fortunately I told the guys before the game, you're sleeping in your own bed tonight. I need 40 minutes of defense. And at halftime, I said, you're sleeping in your own bed tonight. You need 20 minutes of defense. And every media timeout, I need 12 minutes of defense, 8 minutes of defense, 4 minutes of defense. And that's all we did.
About feeding you.
That was all it was. We just had to find a way to continually get stops. No matter what happened down this end, just get stops. And we did. We got underneath out of bounds. I thought it was a big kind of timeout they took. Like, at New Mexico State, we struggled with our baseline out of bounds defense. We made some adjustments to it. We were good there, and we just got stops when we needed them.
Coach, you talked about that in the pregame is stops, points in the paint.
Yep.
I think you held them to 18 points in
Yep.
the paint, and you guys had 34.
No, it's huge. That's our goal.
Yeah.
I told them right before the game, our goal is the paint. We want to own it on offense, and we want to own it on defense. We got to keep our bigs out of foul trouble, keep them off the free throw line. It was a tremendous test for us against their size and their physicality, and we responded very well.
You talked in our pregame about the importance of being better in your two-point defense.
Yep.
But I have to ask, because another game played out similarly to many so far this season, where they continue to shoot the three and they continue to miss the three.
Sure.
2 for 26. And you also told me in pregame that, hey, this is a team that's a little different than some others, where other teams have had a couple of guys who can shoot the three. They can shoot the three pretty much across the board. And as they continue to take open looks, were you ever worried that might turn on you?
For sure.
Yeah.
Every time it leaves their hand, I get worried. But
especially in the closing minutes.
For sure.
I mean, those guys were jacking them up. And
they were, but I thought down the stretch we really contested them.
And
I really did. We lost them a couple of times, but, I mean, they were very heavily – those were tough shots.
Yeah.
And, Hunter, we've talked about it off air. I mean, the line went back, and even offensively, we don't shoot as many as we used to. We don't. I don't think it's quite the same percentage it used to be.
That's right.
And defensively, we would like more of them to be taken. Now, can we get burned of times? Of course we can. And as this season over, it's not even close. But all things being equal, shot for shot, we will prefer a challenge three-point shot over anything to the paint. We need to keep our bigs out of foul trouble. We need to rebound the basketball, which I thought we did a much better job of tonight compared to Auburn. And that's the plan. The plan is to protect our paint defensively and get there offensively as much as we can.
I got to ask this. You talked about the resiliency of your kids, your team. They're young. I talked with Coach McHale, and he said, a couple hours of sleep. And I asked you if you got any rest, and you said maybe. That was a tough one yesterday, and I know that you guys are really hard workers. How do you hold up through something like that and make sure that you present the same face to your team the next morning when they get up?
For sure. No, I mean, we've tried to make this team inject it with as much optimism and positive energy as we could, no matter what's going on. And obviously Auburn was an amazing test to see how are we going to be now. There's no finger pointing. There's no negativity. There's no blame game. It was just positive energy from then to here. I really just think even in today's age and today's kids, the self-esteem issues, the anxiety issues, the mental trouble some of them have, just supporting them and giving them as much positive encouragement as we can. Are they perfect? By no means. Was Auburn a good game? By no means. But that doesn't make that a final judgment. If a person maybe makes mistakes, that doesn't make that mistake something they're going to do for the rest of their life. And it's, hey, let's just go clean it up. Let's not turn it over again. Let's share the ball on offense. Let's do this stuff on defense. It doesn't mean because we didn't do it in one game, that's just the story for the season, So thankfully they're open-minded enough and they listen and they get coached and they hear the lessons we're saying. Did they get stubborn at times? Of course we were. But tonight, I mean, they followed the game plan to a T. There was no anything. And if that's what Auburn took to get us here, God bless it, I'll take it, and we'll just kind of keep going.
Your young guard from nearby in Rochester, New York, it was terrific yesterday. Didn't play as much here tonight. Keith McGee as well. McQuatch Malawach was terrific yesterday as well. And in fewer minutes here today. Is that just sort of feeling the game flow and who seems into it and who has the rhythm, and that's just kind of the way the minutes are going to happen?
Unfortunately, it's college basketball. It's not professional basketball. McQuatch had a marketing final exam that he's been working on literally since the Auburn game ended. I don't know if he slept last night. He barely got to the game in time because he had to really work on a paper.
He was still working on it at pregame.
He was. So he worked all day on a paper. He didn't do warm-up. He just sat in the locker room almost sleeping. So we were kind of going into it a little nervous of what he had in the tank for tonight. And as the game unfolded, it was like, you know what? Let's give Keith a shot. Let's give Tavian a shot. Let's give Zane a shot. And we just kind of went with some other guys. So next man up, and he was great yesterday, and it was somebody else's kind of number for today.
And it was Zane, I think,
the
guy today. Among those three that you mentioned, it was not McGee. It was Zane. Zane, 23 minutes almost, very productive today.
Yep.
What did you like best about what he did?
I think he drove the ball, but the best thing about it was he drove it after ball movement. Zane has a tendency to just and a lot of our guys do. They want to attack it while the defense is set. And I thought particularly in the second half, we just move the ball and move the ball and move the ball and then attack. Then there's lanes. Then there's driving angles. And I thought that was the best part. We finally showed some patience. Our bigs still get a little impatient on the block, and then Corey and Carlton sometimes just get a little sped up. But I thought our guards, Jaquan, I thought was particularly more patient tonight. Zane was. JJ was a little more active. I like that patience. Now we just got to get our bigs to match it as well.
It was funny because they were forced to play that style of basketball.
Yes, agreed.
But it worked out. They were able to get some post-ups.
Very much so.
Bragg got the post-up, and of course, Lyle got some post-up.
Yeah.
I mean, that was impressive because they struggled with that against Auburn.
Agreed.
All right, Coach, we're a chance for you and your team and your staff to get a little rest.
Man, we're sleeping in our own beds tonight, man.
Congratulations. What a big win.
Man. Thanks, Thank you, guys.
Lobo head coach Paul Weir, our guest. Our final timeout post-game here at the Barclays Center. Lobos defeat Wisconsin 59-50. You listen to Lobo Basketball on the UNM Sports Radio Network. Back for a final time from Albertsons Radio Row on the Lobo Basketball postgame show. New Mexico defeats Wisconsin 59-50 in the third-place game of the Legends Classic at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Big thank you to my broadcast producer and engineer, Mike Vitale, to Lobo head coach Paul Weir, and my broadcast partner, Lobo legend Hunter Green. I'm Robert Portnoy. And Hunter, a great way to wrap up the trip here to the Big Apple. The Lobos get a much-needed 59-50 win over Wisconsin.
Listen, one bad game does not make a season, and they live to play another game. And I just think, this was good. It was a good test for them. It was a good challenge. All of that said, looking forward to December, right?
December 1st is the next contest. Sunday this weekend coming up. Montana is in town at the legendary Pitt Dreamstyle Arena. 1 o'clock is the tip-off. Our airtime 12:30 Mountain with the Lobo basketball pregame show. That's it for us. Your final score for the final time from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. So long to the Big Apple. The Lobos get a win over Wisconsin. Lobos 59, Badgers 50. You've been listening to Lobo Basketball on the UNM Sports Radio Network.
You have been listening.